Greatest here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts. Really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grind it. In the trenches, putting that work in. I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men. The boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top. We doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world. You don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work. You see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first. We wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, oh, similar to a razor blade. We gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.
What it do, Mark Henry back on the On Your Mark show. It's Wednesday. We up live from the Fishbowl Radio Network right here in Bedford, Texas, man. We're in the middle of the season, man. The football season is getting where it's at, man. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show, but got a special guest today. He's one of the founders of Desoto Nitro Track Club, one of the most prestigious track clubs in the country, not just in the state, and have put plenty of kids up at the next level through this particular program. He's also a parent of one of the top defensive backs in the state of Texas in the class 2026. We're going to talk about that and more to hear. Of course, we're sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Every play I compete. Leneric Edwards is in the building with us over the phone. Leneric, man, appreciate you joining us, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Man, listen, tell us a little bit. What I like to do with guests, especially coaches, is how you got started. What was the genesis of DeSoto Nitro and how you got involved with that?
Well, DeSoto Nitro, it started like DeSoto Nitro is probably about 15 years in right now, and we got like a number of national championship titles, and records and everything that we set, all across the country. We're a well-organized team. We're a big organization. We got like about 100 kids, and a lot of kids that come to our organization, they shine on the high school level too, and it's so funny because some of the ones that shining now, I remember back when they wasn't shining, when like they wasn't fast enough to make it on a relay team, or they wouldn't really get medals at the track meet, and to where now they probably started when they were 8, 9, or 10, and now they're in high school fastest in the country, or in middle school fastest in the country. But it's a process, that we do, and we stick to it, and we believe in it, and obviously the system works,
Absolutely, and that's one reason I wanted to chop it up with you today, is because I think that speaks volumes. You're in a community that breeds talent, and you've been able to nurture that and get it to where they're competing at the high level, not just in the state of Texas, but nationally. You guys are every year, one of the top programs around the country and compete around the country on a national circuit when it comes to track and field. Speak on how the development piece in track is kind of different from other sports.
Well, see, the track development is a lot different because in track, track is a different sport than every other sport because track is really, if you really think about it, it's not a team sport.
Absolutely.
Track is an individual sport. So with that being said, you have to work on your individual skill set and training. You can't really depend on somebody else helping you out or getting you back. You have to have your own individual work ethic and skill set, tight, because you can't really blame nobody. You can't even hide behind a helmet. Everybody looking at you. They know who you are, so you have to make sure you're on top of your game week in and week out. And a lot of people are scared to do track because track is hard. When you go to football practice, you're not running all day. Sometimes you're going to work on blocking. You're going to talk at practice sometimes. You're going to sit. Or at basketball practice, you're going to be shooting free throws or, talking through stuff. Well, at track practice, it ain't but one thing to do at track practice, and that's run. So that's kind of hard. So some people, a lot of college coaches like to get kids who run track because it tells you they got to work ethic. A lot of good athletes or whatever that play good and they normally don't run track. And it's not true all the time, but sometimes it kind of make them think he must don't like to work hard or he don't got good work ethic. That's what they think. Now, it's not always true, but they tend to think that sometimes when people, like skill players or athletes or whatever don't do it, football coaches college coaches start at 18 to think, well, he don't like to work hard because track is hard.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a different animal, and I think it takes a different mindset as well when you're running track and participating in track. Speak on the mindset and how you guys try to develop that over time with your athletes.
Well, we're one of the few year-round summer track programs, and we know like we got a lot of kids that do other sports, and that's cool. They they come when they can, but like a lot of our kids, like we have like you don't see it often in most track teams. Like we actually got kids who are the fastest kids in the country, and they do nothing but track. So that's the reason a lot of times, like in some organizations, they're a little weaker on their 18 and under age groups or their 16 and under age groups because sometimes those kids, tend to, do a lot of 7-on-7 or play football. But we have a true track program to where, like, we got kids that only do track, and that's kind of run at that age, because we're in Texas. A lot of people think, if you fast or you're in Texas, you have to play football. We got some kids that are on another level, and they ain't trying to touch no football field. They just straight track. So we stay strong because we kind of offer more. Like our speed and conditioning trainer, he trains all kind of Olympians and NFL athletes like Quan Alexander. He trains with us in the summer. Jalen Mills with the Jets, he trains with us in the summer. A.J. Brown with the Cleveland Browns, they train with us in the summer. Now, you got to think about it. These are $1 million NFL athletes, but they do the same workout that our 8 and under and 10 and under kids do. The same workout that our kids do, our professional athletes do the same workout. They can go pay anybody billions to train them. But why do they come train with us, though?
Absolutely. Well, I think you have to, in this day and age, you have to show and prove. You have to be the show me state in a sense where kids today and even the parents, within your organization, they want to see, the finished product, which is those guys at the professional level or, the college level when it comes to track and field. And you guys have been a proven product, and that's one reason I wanted to have you come on and talk today. Is because that's the thing that you have to do is you have to kind of mesh these worlds together. And I think if you see these athletes that play more than one sport, and with track and field being such a heavy thing here in the state of Texas, when you combine those things, they actually go together to make the athlete better. Speak on that just a little bit.
Exactly, because see, a lot of times what tends to happen, see people think track makes you fast. That can be true some, but even more than that, some people don't have the speed that they want because they don't run correctly. Some people got too much butt kick. Sometimes you got too much going side to side. Well, what track really does, it helps clean up your mechanics to where you can run faster. So sometimes that's the only thing that's holding people back from being faster than what they are because they got bad mechanics and bad techniques. Track, it develops confidence in your speed. You ever see somebody racing somebody to the sideline?
Right.
And they kind of stop and try to cut it back, but you probably should have beat them to the corner anyway, but you didn't believe, you didn't trust in your speed, but track helped you believe in your speed, and it really helped clean up the mechanics. So it helps you on the football field, when you're running the right way, So I tell people all the time, track, it really helps build your running mechanics more than anything because so many people run wrong. That's what causes injuries. And I tell people, you have to find ways to prevent injuries. And a lot of people, like to talk about rehab and rehab. Rehab is good. But you know what's better than rehab? Prehab.
Mm-hmm.
Try to not even get the injury in the first place.
Right.
That's always better.
Right. Preventive maintenance is something that, you have to speak with athletes about recovery. You know what I mean? And cryotherapy is a big thing that's been going on lately that's helping athletes recover faster. You come back from injury faster as well. And that's some of the things that go into being putting together the package to be an elite athlete is you have to have all of those things that kind of go together. But speak on that just a little bit. How you try to preach that, because that's important, and even for the younger kids. I had a kid. I have a son that was a track athlete. He ran all the circuits when he was a young guy. But now, when you get the older you get, you have to the warm up, the preparation, the cool down. All of those type of things go hand in hand into injury prevention. Speak on that a little bit.
Man, it's funny because like we try to teach the parents and tell the parents about like the importance of like cherry juice, tart cherry juice, and beets and all that stuff. To really help with circulation and the recovery. With those muscles and joints and inflammation on those type of joints, like we have those big killer workouts. We try to let parents know, hey, get to a chocolate milk as fast as you can because it's high in protein. It helps your muscles recover faster. You know what I'm saying? So we really try to preach that type of stuff. Chocolate milk after hard workouts. To help you recover faster. Cherry juice, beet juice. Now a lot of people don't like that, but you'll be amazed how many people we done turned into being able to tolerate beets, red beets and stuff, to, really help you, stretching. After you run a race, don't just go up to the bleachers and sit down and lay down. You got to do that cool down lap to help bring that lactic acid off those muscles and stuff. So we try to teach them the little stuff that, it sounds crazy when you say that to a 9 or 10-year-old, but as the season go on, you sit back and you watch them, and they come off the track, and it's like 90 degrees outside, close to 100 degrees. You're putting your sweats back on. You're doing your cool down lap. You're going to go sit down, but they're just disciplined from just telling them so much.
Absolutely. I mean, it takes more than just about getting out there running, and you're really preparing yourself for a very short amount of time when it comes to, depends on which event it is, whether it's long jump, triple jump, the 400, the relays. You're preparing yourself for a small amount of time to be fast, to be efficient then. And then the proof is when you guys excel at the end of the day and you're bringing home those championships. And for you guys, it's about putting these kids on the next level, on the big stage. Talk about that a little bit, and a little bit of how track recruiting works.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, and it's not no shot at nobody else's team or whatever. I'm telling you about our team. Well, we actually get track recruiters, track coaches. They come and watch our practice. Like, it's not uncommon to see the University of Tennessee at track practice or to see LSU at track practice, Coach Brazil at track practice, or TCU. Like, we are a select program, and people actually get recruited from our team. Like, I don't know of very many summer track clubs that actually get D1 college coaches that come to their practice in shops when they come to town. And, like, for instance, like with Coach B, he got these college coaches' number on hand. Like, we got a kid that runs our track team, Jaden Finley. Jaden Finley is one of the fastest kids in America, and he didn't have any track offers or anything. He was going 10-2 as a sophomore. And then he comes into your organization, he tells you, well, my favorite team is LSU. I would like to run for LSU. And then Coach B reaches to his pocket, and he called the LSU sprint coach, and they just start talking on the phone like right now. Here you go, right here. So we're able to do that type of stuff. And then, like, when you go across the country, like way in North Carolina or you're in California, and you're winning, medal after medal, and people walking by you at the track meet, they like, where are y'all from? Like who are, like, what is Desoto? They don't really understand, because they try to figure out, like, how y'all constantly, event after event, keep being in these finals, keep getting these medals. So, we have to explain that to them. We're a small suburb, the southern part of Dallas or whatever, but they don't even understand what DeSoto is. But everybody, kind of almost treat us like celebrities when we're walking around the facilities and everything. You have the boys breaking records, and then you catch another track team with a group of girls. They all want to take pictures with y'all because they looking at y'all like celebrities, or a group of young boys, 8 or 9. Can I take pictures with y'all? You know, they look at them as celebrities, but they're just regular people.
Absolutely. Well, you guys have been an established program for a number of years, and the big thing is that you help kids get a free education, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And you help these kids get to the next level. Also, the thing within the organizations, just speak how you guys try to mentor with your club off the field. That's a big thing that you guys have established as well.
Man, and see, one thing about it, like a lot of our parents, you know, we have a lot of single women parents on our team. So, you know, a lot of them, they look at us for discipline as well with their kids, you know, and like a lot of times after practice, you have like, a certain group of kids, you know, they in the discipline process. So, you know, we kind of help with that. And also, you know, we try to talk to them all the time, you know, the importance of grades and, you know, trying to make A's and B's, you know, in school instead of saying, well, I'm happy I got this C. We try to coach them and talk to them. Why make a C when you can make a B or A? You know, let that be your target, because when these college coaches come around, they're going to ask you about your grades, because, you know, when you get in school, you got to have a certain type of GPA and everything to get in these schools you want to get into. So we try to talk to them about it all, you know, instead of just talking track and running fast. We try to talk to them about their grades and everything too, you know. Some of my kids, you know, throughout the year, you know, message me or they call me, you know, telling me about school and everything. So we don't just, you know, use it, you know, when it's season, then just throw you back in the water and just hope you can survive. You know, we just try to make ourselves available as much as possible.
Absolutely. One thing that is for sure, you have to have great grades to participate in any sport. But I think in track and field as well, you know, a lot of people don't know when it comes to the next level, it's not a full scholarship like at the Power 4 level. You have to have some academic money to go with that.
Yes, sir.
Talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, you know, you want to try to stay in that, something that always keep you comfortable. You want to kind of stay in that 3.0 range. You know, we try to tell them, you know, 3.0, that's about like a B or whatever. Mm-hmm. You want to kind of stay in that sweet spot to, you know, pretty much have a chance. You know, back in our day, you know, at 2.5, 2.0, you probably wiggle your way in, but it's getting kind of tough now, you know. So you want to try to eliminate as many C's as possible so you can, you know, 3.0, 3.5 range, you kind of got a shot to go anywhere. So we try to let them understand that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's paramount, especially with all of the sports. But, you know, some of these other sports like baseball, basketball, softball, they don't give full scholarships, and it's a limited amount as well. You have to understand that when you go into it, and that's something that you guys, I know, express and get across to you guys in your organization, man. Before we get out of here, I'll have you give out the social medias and contact information where they can get in touch with you if they have a track athlete. I appreciate you talking about that. We do have Coach Leneric Edwards from Desoto Nitro. But we're going to switch gears a little bit. He's also a parent of one of the top defensive backs in the class 2026, Duncanville High School, Braylon Edwards, one of the top safeties, cornerback. He's very versatile. But we're going to switch gears and talk about his journey with Braylon, starting from a pup to middle school to where he is now, because parents have to be involved in the exposure part, and he's one of those guys. We've kind of probably been around that he might not have known, but I've been following Braylon since I met him at a camp as an 8th grader and seen his ascension to where he is now. But it starts with the parent, and I see you heavily involved on social media, especially on Twitter, promoting Braylon, putting out his film. You guys, dissect the film, put out the right things, and that's another reason I wanted to have you come on today to talk about that, because it's important that parents and players know what type of exposure. We talk about these things all the time, the right exposure, how to get it, where you go to get it, how you go about getting it, the type of people that you have to be around to expose your athlete to these college coaches and college programs. Now, let's back up a little bit, because Braylon was one of the top athletes around the Metroplex as a youngster. So how did you cultivate that, and how did you get him started in athletics?
Well, yeah, we had to lie about his age back when he was 3. Like You know, you got to be like 4 or 5 to play flag. You know, when he was 3, we made him be 4. So he started football while he was 3. He was the youngest person on the team. We was with Troop with Dion. We did that for about 6 or 7 years, and then we started the DFW League thing, and then we kind of got over there. And you know, a lot of the kids from around the city, you know, that's in the same grade, 26 and 25. You know, they were all together. You know, we went down to Florida, won a couple of national championships. You know, he was always one of the starters on the team, you know, but he wasn't one of the stars on the team, you know, but he was a solid player, you know, but he was real tiny. He was one of the tiniest people on the team. We call him Mighty Mouse. But he was the smallest one on the team, but he was always one of the hardest hitters on the team. Even when he played with Truth, he was the tightest one on the team, but he used to play middle linebacker.
Right.
And I'm trying to take on fullbacks and everything, and I was always nervous about it, but he just always been a physical kid, like he boxed. He boxed for a while. He was a real good boxer, you know, beat the Golden Glove champs a couple times, but we couldn't stay in boxing because in boxing they want you light. But in football they want you heavy, so that don't work good, you know, so he ended up leaving boxing alone, but that physicality it stayed on the football field. And he was just one of the ones that took it real serious, like with his workouts and training. I never really had to force him, like, come on, come practice, come work out. Like he just would do it naturally, and that's what always made it easy for us, because I'm not one of them parents that just always rah on him. You know, come on, you gotta do this. It's very easy because most of the time he wants to do it, or he just does it on his own. So that was always easy. And you know, he got his first offer as a freshman, and you know, I think that helped motivate him even more. You know, after that happened, he turned it up into another gear, and then he kind of started growing a little bit. And then as sophomore year came around, he started growing a little bit more. So I was like, oh, you know, he went from, they didn't know if they wanted to be a corner or a safety. We still don't know.
Yeah.
You know, we don't really know the height he's going to be, but a lot of people that's recruiting him, they kind of recruit him at both, like at corner and safety, because we don't know what he's going to be, but
right.
We just like to have that window open to be a defensive back. You know, more than a corner, we want to be a defensive back because we got to play nickel. We play nickel. We got to play outside corner. We play corner. You got to play strong or free. You got to do that. You know what I'm saying? But the exposure part of it, man, you know, I tell people, man, one of the biggest things that you should do early, you might not think it's important, man, you got to get with Twitter. You got to get with Twitter, man. You got to show your work, you know. A little, you know, simple workout videos, you know, this or that, or, you know, little game stuff, even from Little League and stuff, but you got to get on Twitter, man. And, you know, that's where you can find the coaches at, because if you get on Twitter, you can get access to a defensive coordinator or a DB coach, you know. And, you know, a lot of people like to think Instagram. I try to tell them, you know, Instagram is cool, you know, but be careful with it. You know, don't say too much. Don't do too much, but you got to be really active on Twitter, you know, pretty much as early as possible. It helps. You know, it helps to be recognized. You still got to be able to do it, but that's kind of how you can first start connecting with some of these college coaches if you really get big into the Twitter game. And I don't think it's ever too early to start doing that. That's something you might want to start doing kind of early, you know.
Absolutely. That's one thing that you guys started early, and you know, I was introduced to Braylon at a camp, but his Twitter presence has been one of those things that's been heavy, and one of those things that has gotten him noticed and that exposure to get him where he is today is because he is heavy on Twitter. You're heavy on Twitter and promoting him in the right way, and that's the reason he's one of those guys now. Besides where he's playing at, we'll talk about that a little bit too. I think where you play at also makes a big difference. When I say where you play at on a high school level, where you play at, it helps with exposure as well, because, you know, Braylon's at Duncanville. Guys like me, coaches, they're going to come see Duncanville play, whether they're looking at a certain player or they're focusing on that player that they're coming to see. There's always other gyms, and then, the level of competition that you're playing. Duncanville plays in one of the better districts in the country, not just in the state of Texas, and that also helps the level of competition that you play against. But from a parent's perspective, putting them in the right situation as well goes hand in hand with that as well, and I think you've done a great job of navigating that. And that's a lot of times, we get questions about, how to navigate the process and getting, your player in the right position to be seen. And I think where you play matters. Who you play against matters. Just speak on that a little bit and how you try to navigate the process to getting him in the right place to be seen as well.
Yeah, it was real big. He played football for Hutch when he was in the 9th and the 10th grade. He didn't attend school there. He went to a collegiate academy. That he was able to, they don't have sports. He was able to play for Wilma Hudson or whatever. And Wilma Hudson was real good for us. It was real good to us. Coach Barnett was an awesome coach. We love Coach Barnett. And he wanted him on varsity as a freshman. I was against it. So he was like, well, let's let him play some scrimmages and I'll get you comfortable. If you think he can handle it, then we'll do it. If you don't, we'll push him back down. So he proved it to me, and he played varsity there and everything. And then he had a pretty good, 2 years there or whatever. And then unfortunately, we had to move. We ended up moving to Duncanville, and so he ended up having to enroll there. And it was a real big change, man. It was a really, really big change because he was able to have a true off season. This was the first time he was ever able to have a true off season. And when we left Hutch, he was maybe about 5'9", about 162, and now he's like 5'11 and a half, 190. Like he went from when we moved to Duncanville in January, he went from like 162 to when we actually got out there in the spring, probably about April. We got a feeling about April. He went from like 162 to like 185, like at the blink of an eye, because they eat weights over there. Like they don't lift weights, they eat weights over there. So that was real big for him.
Yep.
So and then you go out there to the field, because you're in the weight room first through all season you train, and that's cool. And then you go out there in the field, and then you got to see the Corey and Moore every day, Ace and Theus every day. You got to face Big Zach Turner every day, and then you got to face, the other receivers, man, on an everyday basis. It's tough. And I remember, like, his first 2 weeks out there, he was kind of he was kind of in the whirlwind at first, but it started slowing down for him. And those coaches, they really worked with him to, help the game slow down for him some. So with that being said, all right, thank you. And with that being said, it makes it to where practice feels like the game, and the game feels like practice. So now in the game, everything, it feels a little slower to where he's able to, really digest what's going on and everything. And, I love it. That's what, it's all about, being able to face that type of talent every day. It just makes the skills better. And it's, he doesn't have an interception on the year. He don't have an interception on the year, but he only gets targeted like maybe 2 times a game, sometimes 1 time a game. So the targets are low, so the interceptions are low. But I tell him, just be patient. It's gonna come. You start getting into these playoffs. People gonna try you a little bit more, but we've been having a pretty good season, man. It's coming together.
Absolutely, yeah. He almost took one to the house against St. Francis. I know he was shaking his head about that one, but I think one thing that separates, and you spoke about, him being a physical, playing other positions, his physicality. He's one of the better tacklers in that secondary. That's a loaded secondary, and you see it week in and week out. I was at the DeSoto game. I was at the Waxahachie game watching him very closely. And, that's a big thing that he was physical when he was at Hutch as a freshman as well. Uh,
Yeah.
his ability to tackle well bodes well. And when you talk about defensive backs, that's one thing that separates the elite from just the average. Is you have to be a great tackler as well as a coverage guy. And I think Braylon is one of those guys that's definitely, he brings that physicality, that lunchbox type work ethic when it comes to being a defensive back, and the versatility of being able to play corner and safety is one of the reasons he's starting to be one of those highly recruited guys in the 2026 class. So you can see it on the film and on the field and on tape live. Either one. He's putting it in work. You know what I'm saying? And so talk to me about you talked about Twitter, how you guys kind of break film down and put out the correct film. I think that a lot of times parents and players don't differentiate the correct tape or the correct highlights versus just putting out all good film. You guys put out things weekly. Let's talk about how you kind of break that down with him.
Well, he's a real big film head, man. Like he's way more intelligent than I was. Like paying attention to detail and what. Like he go to school every morning about 6 every morning so that he can watch film of the other team, watch film from the practice the day before. And the good thing about it, like every day, you get huddle. You get your 707 huddle from that day. The one-on-ones from that day. So he really looks at a lot of that, and by him being like an only child in the house, he watches a lot of film, man. He's kind of like a junkie, man. And it's not like most kids like to play the video games a lot. Like he likes to watch live football. Like he's going to be watching college football or he's going to be watching NFL football. And that's what some people don't do nowadays. Some people spend most of their time on the video game instead of actually watching football. You can learn a lot by just watching it. But he definitely a junkie, man, for like film or whatever. Like I check him out or whatever. He'll be eating or whatever. And he got his phone popped up and I'm thinking he watching a TV show or something and he watching Huddle or something like that. And it's kind of weird, man. He just he's kind of different, man. He was a lot different than I was. So I think that's probably one of the things that kind of help him be a pretty decent player.
Absolutely. I agree. He's a student of the game. His workouts, he's been working out since he was a youngster. And you guys have been one at the forefront of one of those things. Of course, he'll tag me or I'll see it eventually through the week, from week to week, and those are the type of things. The correct exposure. That's what we're talking about here. Coach Leneric Edwards from Desoto Nitro, but he also has one of the top defensive backs, Duncanville High School's Braylon Edwards, on the phone with us today. Now, from a parent's perspective, the recruiting process can be kind of crazy, can be out of control sometimes, but you guys have been able to navigate that process. Talk about from a parent's perspective how this recruiting process has been and how you try to help him navigate that.
Yeah, and see, like the way it's set up now is, like in the 9th and 10th grade, you really can't, it's like rules to where you can't directly talk to coaches and stuff, then, so, the process wasn't real fast in the 9th and 10th grade, directly, they could talk to the coach and the coach could, talk to you or whatever. Well, now that he's a junior, like, you get phone calls from, all kind of numbers, versus you'll see a funny area code pop up.
Right.
A while ago, I'm not answering that.
Yeah.
Now you got to take every phone number calling that because you don't know
who it is.
That phone call coming from Washington, it's coming from Oregon, it could be coming from, somewhere Syracuse, anywhere. So
right.
You got to take all those calls and like, they got his direct phone number or whatever, and They contact him a lot, and he took a lot of media classes and stuff like when he was in the 9th and 10th grade when he was at the Collegiate Academy. So we always big on how you answer questions, how you talk, be direct toward people. So I kind of let him, I give him little nuggets here and there, but I kind of let him, do the talking and kind of deal with him and build that relationship with him. Because I kind of, trust him, and he's kind of ahead when it comes to that too. So, it's different now that he's a G. You know, you get a ton of mail every day and phone calls all through the week. You know, so it's starting to pick up, but he's handling it pretty well.
Well, I think so. He's got a big visit coming up to A&M. He was at SMU a couple of weeks ago, so you know it's really starting to pick up. But I think his play is the reason it's that way, and then you supporting him. That's one reason I wanted to have you on today, was to talk about that, because I think it's important that the parents understand how to navigate it. You know, here on Your Mark Show, we talk about educating, elevating parents and players all the time when it comes to the recruiting process, and it takes a village, and you do this not just for him, but you do this for other kids, other parents and players weekly, and I know you do that. Speak on that a little bit and how you try to, you know, help the masses as well.
Oh yeah, I try to. I'm an open book, man. Like anybody who asks me questions or anything or this or that, I try to give them as much knowledge as I can, because I really didn't have a lot of knowledge to that, you know, to the new way now. You know, I didn't have it at first, but along the way, you know, I've learned a lot. You know, I've been talking to a lot of people who got sons that are freshmen now, they're sophomores now, so I try to, you know, really, you know, teach them on ways to, you know, get the coach's attention, you know, the college coach's attention, and, you know, just kind of being open to anything that's asked of you, you know, of your high school coach, because the more that you do and the more you open to them, the more tape you got, you know, to show to the coaches. And that's always a good thing, you know, try to have an open mind. You know, try not to close your mind to different ideas or whatever, you know, that the coaches have for you. So I try to talk to them about that, you know, being open, you know, being available. You know, availability is big, you know, so I try to talk to them from that standpoint, and, you know, like I try to help them, you know, understand, you know, strength and conditioning, because, you know, I used to run a camp, you know, where we do strength and conditioning, and I try to catch our part of town up with the other part of town.
Absolutely.
Because we were taught as kids, don't touch your weight until you get to high school or whatever.
Right.
And we really believe that, and that's what we did. But try to let them know the importance, you know, you can do it in middle school, you know, showing you the techniques, you know, the correct way of lifting. You know, now you got back there trying to lift the whole weight room. You know,
Right.
You're not trying to do that. You know, you're trying to go with lower weights and just really showing them the motion, the technique, you know, of how to lift, the proper way, you know, to squat, you know, without put too much strain on your back or whatever. You know, I try to educate them on that. I even teach them how to, you know, be a spotter, you know, how to, you know, make sure you don't let somebody else get hurt in the weight room. So I just try to catch them up early, you know, what we normally behind, you know, where back in the day we used to just have the strength to compete with like a Salt Lake Town or Highland Park.
Right.
They're stronger than us.
Right.
You know, but a lot of them, you know, they start lifting, man, when they become teenagers, 13 years old, they're already pumping weights and stuff. So,
right.
Of course they're going to be stronger than you, you know what I'm saying? So I just try to, you know, educate people on, you know, lifting early and you know, being ready, you know, to play on the next level, leaving middle school to high school.
Absolutely, man. Well, the proof is in the pudding, man. You've been doing a great job. It's one reason I wanted to have you come on and talk today. You know, amongst the other things, you know, and you know, shout out to my guy Bray, and good luck this week on the gridiron, man. Before we get out of here, give out your social medias where everybody can find you and get in touch with you. If you want to get to a good track club, he's also coaching at Desoto Nitro as well. So go ahead and give out those, and then I'll let you go.
Yeah, if y'all looking for a summer track club that's going to really develop and train, come join Desoto Nitro. We practice at Desoto West Middle School. Y'all can hit us up on Instagram at Desoto Nitro 2024. That's our Instagram page. Check us out. See how we do things and how we move. Y'all can send me a message on there. Follow us. Or you can follow me on Facebook at Leneric Edwards on Facebook. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Leneric Edwards on Twitter.
Man, well, appreciate you, Coach Edwards, man, and I'll be talking to you real soon. That's Coach Leneric Edwards from DeSoto Nitro Track Club. And, man, I appreciate you joining us here on the On Your Mark show today, man. Coach, be easy, and I'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it. No problem.
Absolutely, man. That's Coach Leneric Edwards from DeSoto Nitro Track Club. Also, Braylon Edwards, defensive back over at Duncanville High School. That's his father as well. But before we get out of here, a little tidbit of where we're going this week on the football gridiron. We're going to Houston this week, Humble, Atascocita, Galena Park, North Shore, a district matchup that's got district title as well as seeding when it comes to the playoffs. It's a big-time matchup in the H. 23 6A's on the line. North Shore's undefeated, ranked number 2 in the state. Atascocita's undefeated. They had a scare last week against Kingwood, and they got out of there by the hand of the chin 42-41. But this is a game that has bigger implications. These guys kind of grow up in the same neighborhood, in the same area, about 10 minutes from each other. The schools are in proximity. But Atascocita hadn't been able to get over the hump. This has been a game that they hadn't been able to win in the playoffs in the district for a number of years. Can they get it done this year? That's the big question. It's going to come on the heels or on the shoulders of Torrey Blaylock and Corday Mack and those guys in that offensive line. That heavy run game. Of course, Corday Mack's playing quarterback. He's one of the top running backs recruiting-wise in the class 2026 in the state of Texas. But he's been playing quarterback this year. It's giving them a way to get both of those dynamic players on the football field at the same time in the same backfield. They've gone on the road and beat Austin Westlake. They beat Katy earlier in the year. So this is their opportunity to make a statement, not just in the district but around the state. Can they beat North Shore? North Shore's been their Achilles heel. I think if they hadn't bumped into North Shore the last few years, they usually beat for the regional final, and they can't get past them. Coach Craig Stump might have had a couple of state championships under his belt if they get past North Shore. This has been their Achilles heel. Can they pull it off? They got a tall task here. North Shore's North Shore. They're back. I think that Caleb Bailey, their quarterback, the senior quarterback's playing at a high level. I was at the first game against North Shore, and he looked great. He's back, full strength. He's playing well. You got DeAndre Hardiman Jr. in the backfield. You got Cornell Farrakhan Jr., who's been playing at a high level. He had 4 special teams touchdowns last week. You still got Dion DeBlanc offensively for those guys. North Shore's loaded. Let's just be honest. Let's just be real. It's going to be a tall task for those guys. I think this game is on their turf. It's going to be in Humble instead of in North Shore. So they have to prove that they can win the big game. And this is in their house. This is for the district title. Whoever wins this game is going to be the district champion. You got to beat the big dog to beat a big dog. And that's the reason that this game is so big for Atascocita. Can they get it done? We got to see it. We'll be in the house. We'll be Friday in the H for that. A big matchup. I think that, North Shore knows what they got. They got one of the best cornerbacks in the country, number 1 defensive back in Devin Sanchez. Chase Calcutt is a top 2026 safety corner as well. I think that these guys, know that they're going to have to control the clock because North Shore is very explosive. So what happens here, we'll let you know. Follow us at onthemarksports.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and we'll give you some updates live from the game. But I think that's one of the bigger games around the state that we're going to have an eye on, and we'll actually be at that game this week down in the H. I think that those guys know what's on the line, and they know what they can do if they get these guys and beat them. Another big game in the DFW area is also DeSoto and Cedar Hill. Now, Cedar Hill's coming off a loss to Waxahachie, and they essentially have to win out to get to the playoffs. It starts with DeSoto, their rival. It's the Battle of Beltline, and DeSoto's playing at a high level. I know they lost to Duncanville in that game. I was at that game, and a few miscues here and there, and it could be different. But I think that DeSoto's DeSoto, and Cedar Hill has to get this game, and they still have to play Duncanville. They have to win out in order to get to the playoffs. Losing at Waxahachie last week was a tough loss for those guys, but I think that Coach Ward is building a program over there that these guys know what they have to do to get it done. And I know, shout out to my guy, Coach Dominic Henry over there, they're preaching to these guys one game at a time. This is a big game for Cedar Hill. They have to get this game. Right now they're in 4th place. You got Duncanville, DeSoto, Lancaster, which is a good team, lost to DeSoto last week. They have a big game this week. So, this 11-6A, it's called the District of Doom for a reason. It's got some of the top teams and top talent in the state of Texas. But Lancaster's got, a big game against Mesquite this week. And then they have Lancaster and DeSoto to close out. So, Waxahachie's got the upper hand right now. They've already played Duncanville and Desoto as far as schedule-wise goes. And, they got one of the best 2027 quarterbacks in Jeremiah III, who's been playing at a high level week to week. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the state, and he's proven it, every week. So big games all over the state of Texas. I think that these guys know what's on the line, and we'll keep our eye on it, man. And that's what we do here at the On Your Mark Show. We shine the light on hidden gems as well as, talk about the best. But another big game before we get out of here real quick is Allen versus Prosper. This is going to be probably a de facto district championship game. Allen's undefeated. They've got big wins against Legacy, Cedar Hill, Prosper, Rock Hill. They beat McKinney, beat a very good Plano West team as well, 63-14 last week. I think that Allen's back. They've been one of those teams that's been kind of flying under the radar a little bit, but they have a good quarterback in Brady Bricker, who's a guy in the class 2025 that's been playing very well. I think that Allen knows that this is the big game. Of course, Prosper knows this as well. Their only loss on the season came very early, but they've been steady Eddie. They've been a team that's been playing well over there in that particular area of the Metroplex. Their first loss was to Austin Westlake in week 1, and then they've been rolling and won 6 straight. They beat very good teams in Rockwall Heath, Plano East, which is playing well this year, and they beat McKinney last week. So this is a game that's going to be in Allen, and you can expect both teams to come out and play physical. But I think that Brady Bricker's been playing at a high level as well. He's a guy that you definitely need to know. Now, listen, Prosper's got one of the best offensive lines in the state. Zayden Crimpkin, Logan Colin Freeman on the defensive side. And listen, here's a running back that you need to know about, Leo Anguiano. He's a speedster. He might not be the biggest guy, but if he gets loose, he can take it to the house. Sean Stover on the offensive line for Prosper. They have 3 of the best linemen in the state right there, and that's the reason they're a physical team as well. But, they've been playoff tested for a number of years, and I think that this is a game that Prosper can steal, but they have to come out and establish that run game, establish that offensive line early, because Allen's a very, very good team that can put up some points over there, and they play very well. Another guy that's been excelling over there on the defensive side is LeBron Bauer. He's one of the top cornerbacks definitely in the state for Allen. That you need to know about as well. So this is going to be a pretty big game with 6A on the line. Also in that district, like I said, Plano East is playing well. McKinney's sitting at 4th. So you got Plano as well as Rock Hill, who's had a decent year. But Rock Hill's never made the playoffs, so they need to make a playoff push as well. Shout out to my guy, Devon, over there for Creative Jones. He's the photographer, media guy for Prosper Rock Hill. He does an excellent job. That's my guy. You know what I'm saying? And I think that Rock Hill has a chance, but they'll have to continue to win out. But that's all we got for you today. We appreciate my guy Leneric Edwards tapping in with me today, man. And follow me at arnemarksports.com. Shout out to my guy Jay that's been working hard with us as well. Shout out to my guy Stephon Johnson as well from Epic Sports Apparel. Has been working hard with us as well. My guy from Savant Athletics has been working with the OnTheMarkSports.com, and my guy JB behind the scenes with the photography and videos as well. As my guy in Oklahoma, Boomercast as well, has been working with OnTheMarkSports.com. Shout out to all those guys that have been putting in work. We started the website in August, man. It's going down. Check out OnTheMarkSports.com. Go ahead and subscribe to it, so every time we put something up, you'll get a notification and see all of the stuff that we're dropping each week as we're covering high school football in the state of Texas, man. But that's our time. We out right here every week, 11 to 12, right here on the Fishbowl Radio Network. Listen, tap in with the Fishbowl Radio Network. It's always other great shows and information here every week, live from Bedford, Texas, man. Shout out to my guy, Man and Mike and Scott Rapp on the visuals. We'll tap in with you next week. We out.
Hey, this Manna Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grinded. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest Hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, oh, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.